Welcome to Monday Morning Quarterback, a weekly feature from Cannon Church in Snellville, Georgia. I'm Tim Emmett, the senior pastor at Cannon, and on Monday mornings we connect the game of football, the Christian faith, and the week ahead. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 1. Every week, as Week 1 of the NFL season approaches, podcasters, sportscasters, sports writers offer their predictions for this coming season. They tell you who they think will win their division, who will make it into the playoffs as a wild card team, which teams really have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl, who will make it to the Super Bowl, who will win the Super Bowl. They'll tell you who they think will be the MVP, the head coach of the year, the offensive or defensive player of the year, the rookies of the year. They'll tell you anything and everything they can think of to predict for the year ahead, but they'll also, in their more honest moments, tell you they don't really know. Not a game has been played, not a ball has been kicked, a pass thrown, nothing has happened yet. It's all prediction. It's all guesswork. Here's the thing. Heading into Week 1 of the NFL season, there were a couple things that we knew for sure. One, the game would remain wildly popular, raking in tens of billions of dollars this year once again. Another thing we knew is that Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers, would become the winningest coach in NFL history. That sounds kind of surprising because you may not know who Matt LaFleur is. He's entering into his fourth year as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. They've had 3 13-win seasons in his first 3 years. And Week 1 of the NFL season, he will coach his 50th game. Win or lose, after that game, he will be the winningest coach in NFL history with 50 or more games under his belt. Here's the question. Who was number one heading into that weekend? Who was number one? Who will now be number 2? You probably don't know. Not Vince Lombardi, not Don Shula, not George Halas, not Chuck Noll, not Bill Belichick. The winningest coach in NFL history heading into Week 1 of this NFL season is a guy named Guy Chamberlain. Guy Chamberlain coached his last game in the NFL for the Chicago Cardinals in 1927. He coached for 6 seasons, 5 of them as a player coach. In that span, in those 6 seasons, he won 4 NFL championships. He's the only coach in NFL history to win championships with 3 different teams. And after the 27 season, at the age of 34, at the height of his powers, the winningest coach in NFL history, he walked away from the game to go become a farmer. I kid you not, he left coaching to go back to Nebraska and become a farmer. Why? Why would he do that? Was he burned out, stressed out? Did he get fired? No. It's 1927. You can't make a living playing football. You can't make a living coaching football. Sooner or later, financial reality set in for most players and coaches back then, and they had to get on with the rest of their lives. Farming was actually a more stable life, a more secure income for him in 1927. Farming in Nebraska in 1927 was a more stable life than coaching in the NFL, which was only in its 7th year of existence at that time. Plus, the farm he went home to work was owned by his father. Stability and family, that drew him away from the game and back to the farm. You know, at the beginning of the Gospel of Mark, we hear Jesus launch his ministry preaching the gospel, the good news that God's kingdom had come near. And then we see and hear him call 2 pairs of brothers, Simon and Andrew, James and John. He calls them to leave everything and follow him. Simon and Andrew were told leave their nets, walk away from their fishing boats. James and John, also fishermen, leave not just the boats and their nets, but their father. In other words, these 2 sets of brothers walk away from work and family to follow Jesus. Why? Dramatic life change, radical life change. And in their case, they're leaving stability to go on the road with Jesus. It is, of course, because of Jesus. It's because they were following Jesus, because they were invited into life together with Jesus, that they walked away from stability into insecurity, discovering as they did that the safest place to be was one step right behind Jesus. That was the safest place to be, but then to be with Jesus himself, the best place to be. You and I are called by Jesus just as they were. You and I are called by Jesus to follow him. And to discover as we do, that's where our real security lies. You and I are called to discover that we are invited not just to believe in Jesus, not just to follow his teaching, but to live together with him. Jesus has bound himself to us through the incarnation, crucifixion, resurrection, the outpouring and inpouring of his Holy Spirit. Jesus, our crucified, risen, and reigning Lord, has bound himself to us, and he invites us to be bound together with him. That kind of relationship changes everything, every day, and the safest place for us to be at all times. With family, at work, the best place to be, the safest place to be, one step right behind Jesus. Follow me, said Jesus. Follow me, says Jesus. How will you respond? That's the message for this week. That's Monday Morning Quarterback, Season 3, Episode 1. I hope you have a great week.